doing it with energy, and yeah, leading by example. And it is awesome to be the president because you get so much recognition for your business. It's really, really good to serve in these leadership roles. Okay, education coordinator role. What is the purpose of the education coordinator? Pretty self-explanatory. I probably won't have anybody to educate the chapter, right? To teach the chapter to be better networkers during the weekly meetings. And the lesson should stay within 3 to 5 minutes. And topics can be assigned to the education coordinator based on discussions that happened during the chapter success meeting. So if the membership committee decides, hey, our chapter is really struggling in doing one-to-ones, we need to be educated about why we're doing one-to-ones and what the actual value, not just the general, it's good to get to know each other, but how does that actually play out in numbers? Please educate that. And there are great podcasts to use for that. The education coordinator is not expected to teach every single week. They can assign topics to other members. If you are the education coordinator and you know that you're going to be out of town, it is your responsibility to not only have a substitute for yourself just as a member in the chapter, but to make sure somebody is going to be prepared to do the education moment. Presidents, it's a good idea, just in case the education coordinator lost their mind and forgot to assign somebody, it is a good idea just to be listening to podcasts and be prepared to talk about, oh, this one I listened to recently, and give a little education moment about it if for whatever reason, or maybe they didn't lose their mind and forget to assign anybody. It was an emergency and they got sick or their kid got sick and they're not at the meeting, then the president can just step into that or ask a member if you know of a member who is pretty comfortable speaking, hey, is there a podcast you've listened to recently that you could talk about today? All right, so where do I find content to teach on? Well, BNI Business Builder is chock full of resources. There are almost 800 different podcasts from Dr. Ivan Misner. There are also all kinds of webinars and trainings and videos, all kinds of content. The newsletter every so often that we get those, there are articles you can read in them. But the goal is to stay BNI relevant. So I have seen a chapter where they had the guy's job was that he was an HR trainer. And so he had all kinds of resources to great education and training. The problem was it wasn't BNI specific. It was how to handle if you have an HR complaint about sexual whatever in the workplace. Okay, that's good for an HR department to know, but it's not BNI related. So you would want to find your content in places that are going to be BNI related. I guess I do not. There was something else I was going to say about the education coordinator. I often use, I often tell people I'm speaking from this particular podcast, and then they write it down and go want to listen to it later. And you can also find the BNI podcast just on any podcasting platform. So if you just do a search for BNI podcasts, you can find them outside of BNI Business Builder if you wanted to. But it's great. I like using it through BNI Business Builder because then it logs which ones I've listened to versus not. Okay, any questions about the education coordinator? All right. That is all I have.